You say something?
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Very
Uh,
good.
cool. Alrighty, let's start off by. How about you just introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Vanessa Treviño. Trevino. Tilde over the N. I've gotten into the habit of saying that because so many people ask. I'm a senior at Texas State University. Uh, Pre-law, political science major, history minor. Just a student, but I'm president of New Texas at Texas State, secretary of Student Support Services Association, or TRIO, which is for low income first generation college students, and I've had a bunch of other leadership roles. So, yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas. We were like 12, 13 minutes from downtown. We lived in Oak Cliff for a few years. We lived in Pleasant Grove for a few years, both not very good areas. Lived in Garland for a bit. When I go home now, I go to see my grandparents, and they're currently living in Mesquite. They lovingly thought that if they sent us to Mesquite schools, that it would be better than Skyline in Dallas. Some of my relatives had been there and dropped out. But it was only a few minutes away, just still not great, but we made it. We survived. So yeah.
What made you come to Texas State?
Genuinely, I got a debate scholarship. I used to be on the speech and debate team. I'm a community college transfer student. Tyler Junior College was where I spent my first 2 years of my collegiate experience. Um, Won nationals there, very good, loved it. Knew I didn't want to stay in the area though. I got accepted to a few different places, but at the time, Texas State not only offered like a more better scholarship, but also just seemed like it had everything I wanted. I liked the fact that it was the only university that graduated a president, even though it was decades ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
LBJ. Um, I liked the fact that it was an HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution, Mexican American and Native American. So I very much thought, oh, more diverse. Um, Also, it was so close to Austin, and I eventually want to break into politics. I'm already kind of, I'd like to think I'm like politics adjacent. So, yeah, I think it was definitely the right move to come here. So, yeah.
Cool. Um, what did you get up to during your teenage years?
My teenage years, like high school, or yes,
Early, or you know,
yeah,
you're teen in middle school, did
yeah,
you? Okay,
yeah,
so or you know,
yes. My teenage years were really interesting. I had a lot going on at home. A lot of chaos, divorce, not a lot of money, things going on. A lot of relatives were sick. So home was a lot, and I have a bunch of siblings. I have 6 siblings. I'm the oldest of my mother's children, so I had to take care of them. So while I love my family, home was a lot, and so school was kind of what I threw myself into. Um, and it's funny because I probably would have went down a very different path if it weren't for the mentors I had, like my speech and debate coach and my theater teacher and my choir teachers and whatnot. I probably would have been a very different person and gone down a very different path. But the more things I joined, the longer I could stay at school, which meant the less time I had to be at home, and it also meant I could get out on the weekends. So I was in choir, I was in theater, I was in student council, I was in honor society, I was in like GT, like the gifted and talented program, AP classes. Didn't always do very well with those, but I was in them. I did speech and debate, like I said, in a lot of cultural organizations, and yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's a time I look back on fondly, but I had people that cared, and that's more than most can say. So it all led me here. So
did you do any performances in theater?
oh yeah, like UIL, one act play, like all of those things, little musicals here and there. It started to conflict a lot with my speech schedule, um, but yeah, I did. I one that really stands out is like when I played Euphronia Jekyll and like a remake of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was like a silly adaptation, but I'll always remember my green dress and how big it was and how much I loved it.
What was your favorite scene to like act out in that play?
In that play, probably whenever my son, which was Jekyll, like it was a remake, a retelling, a little bit different from the book, obviously, died. Because we both had to like drop on the floor and I was like wailing and he was my friend and it was just the most silliest thing ever. But it was fun to be able to really just, I don't know, go all out with it. Yeah.
Um, how did your or, performing as an actor at all? Did that influence your how you approached your speech and debate?
Definitely, definitely, because I did do policy debate, or CX debate, as we called it, which is, Lincoln Douglas is like 1v1, and CX or policy was 2v2, and it was always longer, and I liked it, I enjoyed it, but I personally did have a more fun time, I get fun, but
Yeah.
enjoyable time, I suppose, with the actual speeches and with what we call interpretation pieces. So it was like speech and theater had a baby. You would pick some kind of important, relevant social topic. People would do things like immigration, um, pick a topic like adoption, sexual assault, sexual violence, domestic violence. Oh, and then they would weave together a 7 to 10 minute speech slash performative piece. It would be a mashup of like newspaper and like article sources with something from like a play script, with something from a movie, with something from a book, with something that a professor wrote, with statistics, with it was weird. It was like completely nerdy, but also completely theatrical, and I really shined in that because I could transition and just info dump, and then give you some kind of story from some song or some poem or some movie or a play that connected to it really well, uh, and helped explain why it mattered. Like we would give you the information about some terrible or important thing, and then with the theatrical side of it, make you care. Um, so yeah, it's I love interp. When people talk about speech and debate, I feel like they don't talk about interp enough. But I
What's
won
that
Nash
stand for?
just interpretation, like interpretation pieces, yeah. And that was what I golded with at nationals. So
What was your golden performance?
it was a prose, so it was very much taken from a book. Um, it was taken from this these like letters and writings from this author Valeria Luiselli. If I yes, I believe that was her name. It was a while ago, but she was she wrote this book about her time working as a translator and advocate for children in an immigration detention facility, and it was specifically about how a lot of these children that were filing for asylum were separated from their parents or had been some kind of victims of gang violence or of domestic violence or of sexual violence. And they were all true stories. They were all like real, actual, it was like very autobiographical on her part, and research oriented and based. And I would bring all of those facts and then kind of pretend I was her when I would give the speech because that's the intro part, right? And it was sad and it was heartbreaking. And it was about these two girls who had been just hurt so badly, uh, and were still sent back uh, to Mexico. Their asylum file was like denied because they couldn't properly explain what had happened to them with the sexual violence and with everything going on at home because they were children. Um, and Valeria's like whole heartbreak over it was that she was just an interpreter. She couldn't tell them what to say. She could just explain what they were saying. But if they didn't vocally or clearly say the word like I had been assaulted, I had like this had happened to me, then it wouldn't count for their file for their petitions. And but what 7-year old is going to know how to vocalize what's been done? There are women and men in their 20s, 30s, 40s who still can't vocalize it. So yeah, and that was what I did, and I won or golded with it. At Phi Pi Nationals, it's like the honor society for speech and debate in college, and yeah, yeah. A few others I made like quarterfinals or semifinals for similar subjects, but that one was always it.
Yeah. Um, how do you feel about the dynamic between trying to portray someone else's life and their traumas for the purpose of a performance? That can be, a court proceeding,
Mm-hmm.
or it can be something more along the lines of what you did.
Right. Um, it's necessary. Um, Before we started this, we were talking a lot about social media, right, and about how there's so many things circulating in the literal world and in the virtual world right now. People get overstimulated. People don't know what to tune into or don't know how to tune out on the opposite side of that spectrum. And what I've realized is that you can bring all of the facts, you can bring all of the research, you can have every single statistic that you need. You can say people's names, you can tell their stories, but if you don't properly make anybody feel anything about it, then nothing's going to get done. You know, people across the span of history, the span of time, have had terrible things happen to them. And we know that. We know this. We're educated people. But if there's nobody around to really tell the story, then it's basically like it didn't happen. If it's not written down somewhere, if it's not recorded somewhere, if you don't make anybody feel enough to care, nothing's going to get done. And that was something that I really loved about it, being the voice for the voiceless, I guess. And that was my small way of advocating for people when I was just a high school kid and didn't know anybody, didn't have had no money, had no connections. I may not have been able to pay to get somebody out, but I could tell a story, and maybe it could change somebody's, if not their mind, then at least their heart. So yeah.
How did those experiences shape your educational ambitions?
Um, it, I think it really defined all of it. Um, like when you're 14 and like getting into that, and then I did it up until like last year. Uh, I feel like it makes you see the world in a very different way. Um, the way I navigate and I guess move through the world is very much like what's their story and what are they feeling and what are they going through and how can I help, and even if I haven't gone through exactly what they've been through, I've been through things, and maybe in that way I can connect, I can reach them, and in that way, even if we never see each other again, for that one small moment, we were together, like, and yeah, it defined everything. It's why I'm pre-law. It's why I like my minor's history. It's why my major is political science. I guess I'm kind of obsessed with knowing all the stories that came before and working really hard to tell the stories of everybody and everyone now. Because I know that if we don't, who's going to tell our stories tomorrow, right? Who's going to keep it going? Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever considered writing for like a journal or newspaper or that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
I used to really want to be a writer, actually. I didn't think I was very good. I didn't think I had like a poem, like a poetry book. I had like maybe like 300 something poems in there, and I don't know. I didn't think anybody would like want to hear it. It was all really like dark and twisty, and yeah, yeah. And people are more used to me being like, "Hey, how are you doing? Can I register you to vote? Or you want to go do this, go do that?" We walk a very fine line between what we give and what we don't give, and I feel like I've already given a lot, and there were certain things that I guess I just wanted just for me. I guess.
You mean like personal stories?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. yeah, that. But now I am thinking about maybe writing something in the future. Maybe when I have more that people would want to hear about. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Can you tell me a bit about your time here at university?
Yeah, yeah.
Or sorry, you're a transfer student,
I
right?
am a transfer
Okay, where
student.
can you tell me about your first, years of higher education?
For sure. TJC, Tyler Junior College, one of the largest community or junior colleges in the United States. They've got multiple dining halls, multiple dorm halls. They have great uh, football team,
You have
athletic
like the
team.
student sizes?
No, I don't, but it's huge. It was huge. They had a lot of people. It didn't feel. I would have friends and family come and visit me, and other people like friends that I had that were going to like UT Arlington or like UNT, and they would say this feels like a normal 4 year, just a little bit smaller. Um, they had everything. They had like a museum on campus. They had this like really cool. What do you call it? I don't know the word in English. The building where there's like a lot of flowers. What is that?
Uh, uh, greenhouse, forest, botanist,
What are those? What are
horticulture, something.
those? All of those,
Yeah.
and more. The place where you can see the stars too.
Observatory?
Yes, they had that too. They had both of
Have
those.
you been to the one here on campus?
No, I have to go. You know, you're reminding me of all the things I have to do before we graduate. Before we
Yeah,
graduate.
for the astronomy club.
Mm,
I don't know if you know them, but they do or they take care of that. So it's like,
I'm
uh,
gonna have to hit somebody in
yeah,
the
yeah.
astronomy. I'm gonna have to send a
It's
DM.
it's real nice. With a like big actual telescope.
That's cool. Oh my gosh. No, I have not. I'll have to go. Because the one at TJC was really, really cool. I left it there. I was actually 4 weeks late to starting my senior year. 2021. Uh, Me and my entire family had gotten COVID. Uh, my sisters all are healthier, and they all bounced back within a week, 2 weeks. It took me almost 3 months to get better. I have a couple health conditions that nothing that will kill me. Things that just make me tired and things that make it harder to bounce back from even something as insignificant as a cold. You know, yeah. So I had that, and my abuelito, my grandparents were like played a very active role in raising me. And at the time, me and my sisters, well, some of my sisters, were living with them. Very unorthodox family situation. Some of us were together, and some of us were not. We lived with them, and my grandfather got so sick that he went into a coma for like my entire pretty much first year of college. And I was still sick, still weak. I lost a lot of weight. I was worried about him, and it was before I knew it. It was already like 3 weeks of the fall semester had passed, and I was like, I can't go. And my grandmother was like, if you don't go now, you never will. So I didn't have a car. They didn't really have a car. They were sick. I had a friend, and her boyfriend moved me in to the dorm. 2 hour drive from Dallas to Tyler, and that was that. And I didn't go home until the Christmas break. Um, because I knew if I did, I would stay. Uh, yeah. Uh, so I knew, I was working 2 jobs at the time, even though I had scholarships, trying to support myself, but try to help them a little bit too. Um, but I also knew that I needed to distract myself, so I ran for student government. I got, what was it called? Sergeant of Arms. It was like a large board. You know what a parliamentarian is?
Parliamentarian?
Yeah, for student government, all about the rules
Oh,
basically. Yeah, whenever the board's big enough, whenever there's enough people involved, they can have like a second one of those basically. And I was yeah, so I got involved with that. I became like the event coordinator for like their Hispanic student organization. So that was two leadership positions right there. Did a lot of volunteer work. Uh, was involved in speech and debate, obviously. So 4 practices a week, along with a tournament every other weekend. We'd leave on Thursdays, not get back till Sunday. I had to distract myself, but at least it was with I guess positive things. The following year, my sophomore year there, I became president of the debate team, president of the Hispanic Student Organization, senator for student government, and did a lot of other things on the side. Loved it. I was really, really involved, and I'm glad I was. And it made me nervous to transfer because I felt like a lot of people knew who I was. I was so fortunate to be able to get like a letter of recommendation from my college's president. So that was great. That was cool. And then whenever I came here, I was scared, but I did well with debate again. Never won again, but my junior year here, I got top 25 in the nation. For one of my speeches, one of my intro pieces, and a few other like semifinals qualifications. Got involved with Latinas Unidas. Got involved with like student involvement. Uh, yeah, and then last year would have been my senior year, but that was whenever I officially got sick with all of my stuff. And so last year I was president of the debate team, but I was so sick so often that I stepped down because I could barely compete, nonetheless, run 4 nights a week of practice and all of these other things. All love, no hate. But it was also like, I also felt like I said everything I needed to say, basically, in that sphere. But I love it. It got me here. I'll always love speech and debate and forensics. And for a while, I was president, and then I became vice president of Latinas Unidas, an organization that's dedicated to uplifting and giving a safe space to Latina and Indigenous Native American women here at Texas State. Got involved with student support services and TRIO. Um, all of these things, all of these really great things. And since I got sick last year, I had to go part time. So this is technically my 5th year. It's because I'm part time. And now I'm president of Move and secretary for TRIO. And I love it, and it's good. And I work for student involvement and engagement for the university. I'm on the SACA programming board, Student Association for Campus Activities. So I help plan all of the community events for the school. So homecoming, uh, casino nights, welcome week whenever all the freshmen are moving in, Riverfest. You going to Riverfest? Because if you are, you're gonna see me all day. You're gonna see me all
Were
day.
you there at the last Riverfest when the cake
No,
was reached?
no, I was sick actually.
Ah,
Which probably for the best looking back at it. Because yeah, I heard about that gate situation. Pretty bad. Uh, yeah, yeah. And I also have another little thing on the side. I'm Catholic. My faith has been a big strength for me, a big source of comfort for me. And I'm a catechist, or like a faith formation teacher, I guess, at Our Lady of Wisdom. So 1 or 2 nights a week, I go in and I help teach a class of people that are wanting to become Catholic, because it takes a year to convert, because there's so much you have to know or should know. And yeah, so I do that. And I just had 41 of my students all either get baptized or confirmed in the Catholic Church this past Easter, including my boyfriend. So that was really cool. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm still busy, but busy in different ways, I guess, than debate. And Move has very quickly become like my life, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great organization, and how we met. So yeah, yeah.
how does your family feel, or what's their reaction to all your extracurriculars?
Uh, they're I believe they're proud. They don't really have any. My family jokes all the time that they knew that I was gonna go to college, like even very young. Um, None of my siblings are in college right now. Maybe that will change one day, but They always knew I was going to do it, and they always knew that I cared about, I guess, things when I was little. Like when you're a kid and you get in trouble and you get grounded, like they take away like your games or I don't know, we're Gen Z, so like our phones.
No debate for you.
My mom would pack up my books and take away my just for like a day or two. But it was because I would stay up all night, with like a little flashlight, and I'd be like reading, and I shared a room with my sisters, and she would come in and check at like 1 in the morning, and she'd be like, "You're still awake," and yeah, there was always just so much I wanted to know and I wanted to do, and even though I have health problems, and even though things are a little bit different for me than what I guess I would have pictured or imagined a few years ago. With that, I have no intention of slowing down anytime soon. Um, glory be to God, we're still going to be around for a long time. Uh, and even if days are hard, nothing that's worth doing is easy. So, it's not going to kill me. So I'm going to keep on going until I cannot go anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. What Gosh, how has all your extracurriculars impacted your like money work?
My money work.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
It was actually not a problem at all my first 3 years of college. But then again, that's probably because TJC was cheaper. And my first year here, I wasn't sick yet. Well, I was always like sickly, like anemic, and just never very strong, never very fast. But now that there are actual like diagnosable things, it's a little bit more hard. But luckily, I have a good support system. Try not to be dumb with the money. Try not to spend it on anything silly or stupid. I do a lot of like odd little side things. Like this weekend, we're having our mini pride. I'll get more into that in a second. But before mini pride, I'm helping judge a high school debate tournament, and you can get paid like $250 for doing that.
Nice.
So do that once or twice a month. Yeah. I'm pretty good. Do my soccer job. Do that. My boyfriend is good to me too. That also is great. He's in the military, so yeah.
How long ago did you go?
Actually, okay. This ring, he gave this to me. It's not an engagement ring. It's just a ring. But he gave it to me. If you want to look at it, you can, because it's got our initials and the date we started dating. So that will answer your question.
What's his name?
Pedro. He gave it to me at my quinceañera on my 15th birthday. We started dating back in 2017. So almost that. It's 2026, 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Met him the very first day of middle school, and I was like 12 years old. Had a major crush on him. I didn't think he liked me at all, but I guess he did. Yeah, we liked each other. I don't know if in middle school if you guys had like dances or anything like that. Yeah, we did too. And everybody knew we liked each other, and we ended up being like crowned like king and queen of our little 8th grade dance because everybody knew. And we officially started dating freshman year of high school, Halloween, because that's my favorite holiday. Yeah, and we actually have broken up my senior year of high school, and we were broken up my first 2 years of college. So while I was at TJC, but then
not 9 years straight.
Not 9 years straight. No, there was like 2.5 years of not. But the first one makes for a better story.
But,
we bumped into each other back home, and yeah.
What was it like having? Or what do you think it was like for him? Supporting, you through all your extracurriculars.
Back then and now, I think he's always been really proud of me. That was something I missed whenever we were not together, which was needed. Kids need time apart, need time to grow up. It all worked out for the best. bumped into each other at a Buc-ee's actually the summer before I moved here, and right before he got stationed in Austin and like Camp Mabry in that area and everything. So it's kismet, meant to be. It just worked out well. But he's always said he was proud. I've always been so thankful for that actually because we were talking how imposter syndrome's a bitch, and I've always struggled a bit with feeling like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Like, does anybody care about what I'm doing? And um, he has always said that I'm like one of the smartest people he knows, which is crazy because I'm like, you must not know a lot of smart people.
Dude, you're like such a tryhard. What do you mean?
What? No.
Like getting the presidencies like they're bugs or something?
No. Thank you. But yeah, he's really shy, like really quiet, and I'm well, really not. And yeah, and he'll man, when we were like kids to now, he'll always say that that was one of the reasons why he liked me because I could talk enough for the both of us, and it made him feel comfortable. You know, like he didn't have to worry that anything he was going to say like didn't make sense because I would understand. And you know, uh, whatever I lack, he has, and whatever he lacks, I'd like to think I have. And I think that's what like love is supposed to be, right? It's not. It doesn't always have to be like super complicated or super toxic or anything like that. It can just be just peace, like somewhere that you feel safe. Uh, there was a lot of chaos in my family life growing up. Every year, it felt like different people, different things, something traumatic would happen that we would have to deal with. And the one thing that was always a really good constant, other than my own desire to get the fuck out and change the world, was him. Him. And yeah, when we broke up, I knew that I could live without him because I've lived through a million things that I guess might have really fucked up somebody else. But I don't want to, you know. Again, going back to that whole thing, I think I've given enough, and I think I'm okay and can desire something soft and something kind and something just, like
Peaceful.
peaceful. Yeah, I didn't know a lot of peace, and that's all I really want, I guess. Like, it's so funny because I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a politician, I want to do all these kick-ass things, but then I tell other people I also really want to be a wife and have like 4 kids, and I believe I can do both.
Yeah.
I believe I can. If there's anybody who can do both, I'd like to think I can do both. And he's here actually with my friend, my really good friend, and my historian Valerie from Move, and he's here because it's his day off, and he could be doing anything else, but he knows she and I have to work on our board stuff, and she and I have to lock in for some of our classes. And I think he's in there with his Switch, and he's just keeping her company for me while I have this, and then the 2 meetings after this. Yeah.
Lots of meetings. Lots of meetings.
All day, every day, baby.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
day, every day.
Can you tell me a bit about Move, Texas State?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we love Move. Move Texas is a nonpartisan, nonprofit voter registration. It's only in the state of Texas, obviously. Move Texas. Move is like an acronym. It stands for Mobilize, Organize, Voting Empowerment. The whole goal is basically to register people to be able to vote, spread voter information and education, and build political power and advocacy in underrepresented minority communities, especially across college campuses and in college towns, right? So Texas State and San Marcos is only one of the places that has Move Texas. You can find it at University of Houston, University of North Texas up in Denton. We're at UT Austin, UT San Antonio. You can find us in El Paso, in Tyler, in Laredo. I think like we're everywhere. We're at community colleges. You can usually find us if you're looking for like radical registrars or powered by people or like any of those cool political nonprofit organizations, you know. Um, and Move Texas was actually an active org here at Texas State pre-COVID, like since like I don't know 2014 or 2015 or something like that. Up there with SWIPs, up there with other like college Dems, you know. And then COVID happened. The faculty advisor for Move retired the same year that COVID happened. Most of the officers, from what I've heard, were all seniors, and then they graduated. And then Move Texas at Texas State died, and it's back. It's back. Last year there was a girl who I met in one of my political science classes who had done like volunteer work and like canvassing and stuff with Move Texas headquarters, like in general. And she had wanted to start it back up here, but she was a senior and she was on her way out, and there wasn't any time. So she met me, and she met a few other people who are now the officers of the org, and she was like, well, you guys have, you know, I only had one more year, some of them have more. And she was like, can you guys do this? And I love a good challenge, so we did. And so there was literally nobody, it was just me and two other people. And now we've got like 30 something members, and some more that might join next year. And we do volunteer work and community service work, and we have fundraisers to support ourselves. And we're always out tabling at least like every other week to register people to be able to vote, passing out voter guides, passing out little stickers to encourage people to vote. One of my favorite has like an armadillo and it says "Roll to the polls," and it's cheesy, but I think it's cute. Yeah, it's just all about that. The main focus, like I said, is advocating for those who may not be able to advocate for themselves or historically have been, you know, yeah. And as a first generation college student, as a Latina, um, you know, all of these things that make me who I am, I knew that that was something I wanted to do. That was why I was involved with Latinos Unidas. That was why I was involved just as a regular member for LULAC, and that's why I do stuff with Mano Amiga in my free time, and other places. So we did that, and we do a lot of stuff. We recently had a meeting where we talked about climate change and how to be more sustainable, and we talked about how San Marcos and Sewell River is all like native land and it needs to be looked after. And for our little activity, we did potted plants and propagation, and it was cute. It was dirty, but it was cute. We've done like anti-ice demonstrations and meetings. We've currently in the process of trying to get tickets to the African American Calaboose Museum. It's one of their board of directors sat on a panel for us. We do political panels. We host community events. We co-hosted No King's Day just a few weeks ago with Step Up San Marcos, a chapter of Indivisible. We back in February hosted James Tallarico at the Mark. I don't know if you heard about that.
Sure.
You were there.
Did
Brad,
a little video essay or photo essay.
Dang, I wish we had spoken. Oh well.
You might,
I gave a speech there.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw me. I was at the very beginning. Yeah, you're like, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check
You'll check it out.
The video later.
Yes.
I might have you on. Actually, no.
I gave a speech and then I introduced State Representative Aaron Smith,
Yeah,
and then she introduced Tallarico. It's been a long day. My hair was down. It was straight. I was wearing makeup. I look good today. I look tired. Yeah, things like that. Every semester we have something that I call Mini Pride. We've got a lot of queer students in our organization, and obviously there's a lot of queer students and trans folk at Texas State University, and we've done a lot of like cool collaborations with Bobcat Pride and with Transcend at Texas State, and we realized, me talking to their leaders, that a lot of our students here haven't been able to really attend Pride in June in the summer, or we've got a lot of like gay babies here who have never like been to a drag show and stuff like that. And I do work with the San Marcos Queer Council and with the Bobcat Pride Scholarship Fund. Again, my side quests.
Yeah.
And so I decided, what if we kind of give them a little taste of it, you know? So last semester around October, because I wanted to do it for Halloween, because what's more gay in camp than Halloween? Um, we we hosted mini pride. We had a Q&A panel with a bunch of like different queer professors, professionals, leaders in the city. Um, we had a bunch of different like drag performers perform a show for us. It was great. We had it at 666 Social, where we're at today. I love this place. And we're doing our next one. It was so popular. We ran out of seats, we ran out of tables, we ran out of chairs. It was so popular that we were asked by everybody involved to make it a semesterly event. So even though I will be obviously no longer president next year because I'm graduating in summer, uh, hopefully it'll still go on. And we have our next mini pride this Saturday, the 18th, at what was formerly the Red Bus Food Park and is now Siren San Marcos. It's right across the street from like Mochas and Javas and like the Stoner Pizza place. So it might be easier easier to walk to if you live in the dorms. Um, we've got a Q&A panel, 6 drag performers, and Tommy T, who's like a local like R&B alternative singer, does a lot of shows in Austin, big advocate for the queer community, and he's going to be our closing act. And you should pull up. We're gonna since it was like formerly a food park, it still is. Like they have a bunch of things there. We're gonna have boba. There's gonna be alcohol. There's going to be a taco truck. You will see me being a moderator for the panel. Organizations are free to table. So I don't know. I love putting that all together. I mean, before I came here to talk to you, I was with the people for Sirens. For like an hour and a half, just working out logistics. And then before that, I was at the Meadow Center planning out our banquets. And before that, I was in class. And before that, I was at work. So it's been a very long day, but every day is long. I mean, I don't know. I just want to do stuff like that for the rest of my life. I don't know. I want to be in the thick of it. I want to be just doing things. Yeah. Yeah. Let's move.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'd like to ask you a bit about organizing.
Sure. Yeah.
So, at a glance, when I say organizing culture versus professional management, what is that? What does that make you think?
What does that make me think?
Yeah.
Organizing culture. I think
professional management.
And professional management.
Like the relationship.
Okay. I think organizing culture is, well, when I think of that, I feel like kind of like how Move Texas is in a way. Like we are obviously all organizers and activists and trying to advocate for different groups in our communities, but we are a statewide nonprofit. We have rules we have to follow. There's somebody above me. Like we're not just a regular student organization where it's just you. Maybe the most you have to do is make sure you don't uh, break any rules with student involvement and engagement or with your faculty advisor. No, we have, in addition to that, we have bosses at Move Texas headquarters that we have to report to. We have to track attendance for all of our events. We have to turn that in. We can't say certain things.
There's a bureaucracy.
There's a yes, that's a perfect way to put it. It's all still good work though, but there is definitely a limit to how far that we can go. Um, but I think these kinds of organizations are necessary and needed because it's those kinds of organizations that are C3, C4s are able to get funding from the government, they're able to get funding and grants from other people. Because a lot of us who care about things, let's be honest, don't have a lot of money to make that change. So I think it's a wonderful way to start, get your foot in the door. Have to play by the rules, but you have to play by the rules with anything really. But I think once you make enough of a name for yourself and once you make those connections, building that organizing culture, like you said, then you can do even more. When we first started, like it was just us and having to ask our bosses at headquarters. But over the span of the year, we've made connections with a bunch of wonderful on campus and off campus organizations here in Texas State and here in San Mo. We've got friends at LULAC, Mano Amiga, San Marcos, friends with the Black Pre-Law Association, NAACP, Wildcat Pride, Transcend, the Queer Council, Scholarship Fund, College Democrats. I could name all of them and more. All great people, and they all are fighting for the same thing that we're fighting for, I think, which is just trying our hardest to organize and build something that's going to outlive us and that can offer resources and aid and help to the community, because that's like the biggest thing. I feel like so many people get it twisted that all of this is like for glory, or all of this is like something that you just want to do to like get your name out there so you can eventually run. And don't get me wrong, a lot of us have like political aspirations. I do, but that's not what this is. What this is for, you know, like after you, I'm going to be meeting with the mutual aid chair for YDSA, and Democratic Socialists of America. Them too, love them. Uh, I, like I said, I'm not shy, so I know a lot of people from all of my side quests, and I'm meeting with him to give him a lot of my contacts and to, over the phone, over email, FaceTime, introduce him to the people I know, so that way, even though I'll be graduating this year, he can use those connections and they can keep on going.
You're the next president of Move?
No, he's in YDSA.
Oh, sure.
Move is actually having our elections next Monday.
Okay.
So whoever the president will be, I will do the same for them. I'm working on creating a little black book of contacts for them to use, because something I have noticed a lot is that everybody has a role to play when it comes to advocacy work, when it comes to community organizing, but we all also have like very different gifts, you know. I like to think I'm a pretty decent communicator and an okay talker, and and like I said, I'm not shy, and I've been very fortunate and very blessed to somehow be in the right place at the right times and just meet the right people. And even though my time in college is coming to an end, I want to pass down what I've learned and what I know to the people that come after me. And maybe that's my Mexican or my like native Mexica, like popping out. But collectivism over individualism, right? Like we're only as strong whenever we're all like united, you know. It's not Move Texas or Texas State is not at all just my thing. It's not like the Vanessa show. It's my vice president Valentina, you know, it's my social chair Valerie, it's my historian Kelly, it's our secretary Alex, our campus organizer Madeline, it's it's all of them and all of our members and all of the friends that we've made. And advocacy and organizing only work when we are united. And that was why when we did No King's Day, when we were invited to co-host with Step Up, I reached out to every person in every organization that cared about these kinds of things that I knew. And we had Hayes County Democrats tabling, we had YDSA tabling, we had representatives from Mano Amiga there, we had politicians come out. I had all of my friends who do drag out there with us. We did an after party at the porch, and it was a drag show, because that's what it's all about, you know. That's what it's all about. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. I'd also like to ask you a bit about, you know, you mentioned your team at Move Texas State, the officers, and I guess what I was trying to get at with that question is there's a dynamic between um, human organizing, we'll call
Right.
it, and the I don't know if you've heard this term, but the professional managerial class.
I've heard it, but I'm not like too familiar with it. So you might have to tell me.
It can kind of mean anything,
Mhm.
you know, like, but generally it means like more educated, often white collar, but doesn't have to be
Right.
people, and more often than not, these are people who are, given professional positions in which they help organize other people
Right.
in a bureaucracy, right?
I see.
Or an organization, or whatever you want to call it.
I get what you're getting at.
Yeah. So, it's. Can you speak a bit to the how you've seen the relationship between, we'll say, establishment uh, people and organizations, and the I guess the founding like culture or organizational ideals.
No, I know exactly what you're getting at now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Something I've noticed is that a lot of these amazing movements are founded by people of color and low income people, people who have personal stakes invested, like people who have the most to lose. And more often than not, after a couple of years, those organizations are then kind of taken over by, like you said, predominantly educated, predominantly white professionals who, while are still fighting the good fight, I think sometimes lose a little bit of the soul along the way. If
There's
that
like
makes
the
any
personal
sense.
interest
Yeah,
of your position.
right. Yes. That's something that I'm kind of happy that Move Texas, because our main focus is there's a lot of organizations like that, but our main focus is on representing those who are underrepresented, and every single person who's usually in leadership was involved in Move Texas when it was a college chapter or like a lower chapter. Like many of the people that are working for headquarters, great leaders, a lot of them are people of color, a lot of them are queer, a lot of them have a variation of different lived life experiences. And I think that diversity is what makes it work. Um, and I think if it weren't for that, it definitely wouldn't be what we're trying to say it is. Something I love is that most of my e-board right now, we're all female, we're all women, we're all minorities in some way, shape, or form. Um, we all have very different like lives too. Some of us came from more financially privileged backgrounds. Some of us have come from not privileged backgrounds. But the one thing that we all have in common is that we've all, in some way, shape, or form, had somebody or someone or something try to stop us from doing what we want to do because of something out of our control, like racism, sexism, homophobia, uh, those things. And it's those kinds of barriers that still are very real and still very tangible and still exist in our society that I think are making us fight so hard. You know, everything I'm doing is because I've experienced it. You know, there was even this year there was a situation where we were like just fundraising because we obviously raise our own money as well. Headquarters helps us, but we to do all of the extra cool things we want to do, we fundraise, and like most grassroots organizations do. Um, and while we were doing that, we weren't even passing out voter information or anything because it was just selling food, you know? And we had somebody come to the table, and I wasn't saying anything. I literally was just like, "Do you want to buy like our candy?" And he asked me if I was here legally, uh, and it's funny because I think, well, I don't speak with an accent. I don't. Well, I can if I wanted to, but code switching. I know. I know how I'm supposed to sound in certain situations, is what I'm saying. And I know with how dangerous the political climate is, what is expected. So I didn't think I had done anything in any way, shape, or form to be asked such a question. But then I remembered it's just because I exist. It's just because I look the way that I do. And I'm not even very, very dark, you know? Like, I have like other like brown and black friends who are significantly darker than I am, and their lived experiences are very different too, because colorism also plays a part. I have dark hair, dark eyes, I have certain indigenous features, but I'm not that dark. And still, I had somebody say that to me. Um, but that's also not the first time that that's happened. And I'm very aware that that won't be the last time that that's happened, or that that will happen. I've been questioned before. It was really bad in East Texas, actually, and that was a big reason why I wanted to leave, because in the place I grew up in Dallas, I didn't really experience that. I come from like a very immigrant heavy neighborhood community. In our high school debate team, me and other myself and some of my other teammates would have to do these pencil drills to be able to learn how to speak properly. And the funny thing was, I never thought I spoke improperly, or not proper, I guess. But if there's any hint of an accent, if there's any hint of, like, I guess, urban slang, you know. And the funny thing was, my coach didn't do it to be hateful. She herself was a woman of color, but speech and debate is a very white dominated activity. It's a lot of guys. It's usually kids from some kind of like preparatory academies, um, or private schools. And she would tell us all the time, they're already going to look down on you like the minute you walk in the room, just because of how you look and what your last name is, and because maybe your suits aren't as expensive as theirs. You can't give them any other reason to look down on you. Um, but of course, there was nothing wrong with the way I guess I originally spoke, and there's nothing wrong with the way I speak now. And I can do both. I do both. I am both, right? Like, that's just who and what I am now. Uh, the world is very complex, and there's still so much hatred and so much violence. And in a weird way, when I go home, I I don't go home much, and it's because like I used to get a lot of flack from people I grew up with. Oh, like, you think you're better than us now? Like, you think you're a white girl? Like, whispering like "wolia," like white bread, which white bread roll, which, yeah. Um, but then I realized I shouldn't be angry at them for saying that, because they're only saying those things because they're also angry at their own situations and lot in life, and they just don't have a way to rise up. And sometimes I do feel bad. Sometimes I do think to myself, maybe I should be home. Maybe I should be amongst, I don't want to say like my people, because like we're all one people, and I have a community here, not just of Latinos, but of other wonderful, beautiful people that um, aren't Hispanic. And uh, but yeah, I did feel like for a very long time, like I was betraying some part of myself. But then I realized there needs to be people, and this is not, don't mistake anything I say. This isn't like to hype myself up or anything. But there needs to be certain people, I guess, like me, who can flow more seamlessly in and out of both worlds. Because if you can, then you can kind of help your people back home, and you can still.
Sorry, when you say both worlds, can you describe the?
Yeah, I guess like what we were saying, like the more professional, academic, business world, more of like an Anglo world, if you will, um, and then my world and my family and my home. And the funny thing is like, that's not to say that back home there aren't brilliant people, and there, because there are. There's brilliant people, and there's hardworking people, and there's artists, and there's singers, and there's writers, and there's poets. But more often than not, I know so many people I grew up with who, because of their financial situations, because of these generational traumas and these generational curses that bound them, were not able to, I feel like I'm saying rise up a lot, but I guess that's help themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest reasons, I guess, why I was so drawn to organizing and advocacy, and what I meant when I said collectivism over individualism. My rise is not my own. My life is not my own. My body, my language, my mouth, everything I have is not just mine. If I rise, then that means we can all rise. My grandparents weren't able to go to school. My grandfather had to drop out when he was very young to support his 8 siblings and his mother after his youngest sister was born with a disability, and after his stepfather was injured and maimed at work because there were no rights. And my grandmother, luckily, eventually found and married him, but her first marriage was not her choice, and it was forced, and it was abusive, and it was bad, and she was a child. But we don't always get a say. And that wasn't even that long ago. That was literally only in like the 70s. Which is funny because then when you talk to other people in the more, I guess, professional world in the 70s, like their parents could have gone to school to be doctors or lawyers or things like that. And my people were already here, but that was what the situation was. And my grandfather and grandmother are some of the smartest people I know. Some of the smartest people I know. But that was just the way it went, you know? And no matter how hard it gets for me, I have to stay in the game because, like I said, this isn't just for me. It's for them, and it's for my father who was sick his whole life, and that was why he died when I was very young. And he had dreams too, and he didn't get to be everything he wanted to be. And my mother, who has known so much pain over her life, and you know, in this weird way, if I succeed, I do it for my ancestors, and I do it for everyone who will come after me. And it's also the only way that, what we were talking about earlier, peace. It's the way that I can find peace. This is my goal. This is my duty. This is my desire. It's and it's not solely just for them. Like I want it to. I do want it. Like if it was just for them, then I don't think I would be doing it, right? Because I said I will not burn myself, set myself on fire just to keep anybody else warm. But I something I think helps a little bit about knowing struggle. I mean, nothing is good about knowing struggle. Nothing. If I could have not gone through everything I went through, I would have chosen something soft every time. But there's nothing we can do to change the past, and there's nothing we can do to undo those things. And I am where I am, and I am who I am because of those things. So I look at it more like, well, what's done is done. We can't change it. But because I went through it, I think I'm a bit more scrappy than maybe someone who may not have gone through those things. I think I can hang in the game, hang in the ring a little bit longer than somebody else. I think I'm hungrier for it because I know what it's like to not have anything on my plate and on my table. Like every position I've had, I have had to fight for it. I've been underestimated my entire life, and not for all those reasons, but also because like I'm sickly. Like all of these other things that are against me, I guess, and it makes me work twice as harder as anybody else. And even though that's exhausting, and even though it's not fair, it also means that I'm not afraid to be the first one to raise my hand, and I'm not afraid to show up to a place where I don't know anybody. And I'm not afraid to go to an event, even if I don't know the right thing to say, because I'm just going to say it anyway. And somehow it ends up being right. Somehow it ends up connecting to at least one person. And every door that has been open to me has been open because I wasn't afraid. And if I can do that, then I'm going to continue to do that for the rest of my life, because there are others who can't do that, and I'm okay with that. I feel like it's an honor to do that. I'm I'm perfectly content with my lot, you know. Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give yourself if you say you get to say something to past you who's just starting into all this organizing stuff? What would you say to her?
It's going to be hard, and there's going to be a lot of times where you think you don't belong, or you're saying the wrong thing, or you need to be quiet. You need to not talk so much, but don't do that. Um, History is not told by those who are too afraid to write anything down or to speak. History is recorded and remembered by the ones who were brave and who were bold and who were loud and who were proud. And be brave. Be brave. Just do it. Just that, maybe that's so cliche, but just don't stop even when it's hard. Life will only get so much harder. Um, but we still have to keep on going. The sun is still going to rise, and you're still going to wake up, and eventually we're going to look back at even the bad parts and realize that it's okay because I made it, and maybe it was all worth it. Yeah, I guess that.
No, that's good. Um, helping people is hard.
Helping people is
It's
hard.
not glamorous. Last thing, if you could leave us with a life lesson you've learned.
A life lesson I've learned: don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm proud of where I am, and like I said, I'm content with my lot. Everything that has happened and that's been done, I think, was supposed to happen, and was supposed to have been done. But I do have some regrets about certain things. Some academic, some professional, some relationship wise.
As it goes.
Yeah, as it goes. And I think just a lot of that could have been prevented if I had been willing to say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm confused, I need help. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's like one of the biggest things I've taken away from community organizing and from collectivism, right? Is we have this idea that we have to have everything all figured out, but we don't. Nobody has anything figured out. If somebody tells you that they know everything, or have everything sorted out, then they're a liar, or they're delusional, or they're a narcissist. And that's just what that is. And then on the other hand, there are those of us who, like I said, have had to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard. And so we think if we ask for help, that we're going to lose these opportunities, that the door is going to get shut in our face again, that right when we sit down to eat, the plate is going to get taken away, that we're going to lose it all if we show that we're human and that we don't know what's going on. But if you're stepping into a space for the first time, you're not going to know what's going on. Be bold, but don't be dumb. Find people who are willing to mentor you. Find people who care just as much as you do, because I promise they're out there. You just have to be willing to look, and you have to be willing to ask.
Asking's hard.
Asking is hard, but it's going to be so much more harder if you don't. There are so many times that I look back on certain things, especially when I was younger, and I think to myself, oh my goodness, why didn't I just explain, what was going on? And now it's better now because of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, like meeting with somebody after this, he asked me for help because I had certain contacts and he didn't. And I was more than happy to give that. And some of people I know in my organization are running for president, and a lot of them have asked me, like, hey, can you give me advice? Or since I'm going to be living here in the area, after graduation, I'm not going home. They're like, can we hang out? Can you like kind of train me, mentor me? One of them asked if like she could shadow me at like our last couple of events, like just be by my side the whole time. And I was very surprised because again, I'm like, me, like what the hell do you want to be next to me for? But if I'm in this position, then yeah, it does make sense, I guess. Might not make sense fully in my head because in my head I'm just me, but in her head, you know, there's something that she wants to learn that she thinks she can learn from me, and I'm willing to impart and pass that on. Not everybody's going to be like that, but more often than not, there's going to be somebody who's willing to help. You just have to ask. So that's what I would say.
Alrighty, cool. Well, thanks so much for your story.
Yes.
It was nice chatting with you.
It was nice chatting with you too.
How do you want to end this? Like walk off or like say something cool or?
What do you usually? I remember like watching some of the videos, but what do you think? What do you think?
How about you walk off that direction?
Walk off in that direction. Yeah. Okay, you're just gonna like edit it and
Yeah.
everything. Okay, cool. I love this. I love that you do this. Really cool. I do have a couple of other meetings, so cannot forget my Jamaica. Bringing a little bit of our culture everywhere that we go is important. And yeah, I'll have a lot of fun telling meetings number 2 and number 3 and number 4 all about this.